The political storm surrounding the Department of Justice intensified late last night after an unexpected exchange during a routine press briefing raised serious questions about transparency, accountability, and the possible misuse of federal power for personal and political protection. The controversy ignited when the current head of the DOJ, responding to what appeared to be a straightforward inquiry, inadvertently acknowledged actions that many critics interpreted as a quiet attempt to shield Donald Trump from potentially damaging legal exposure. What began as a relatively uneventful session quickly evolved into the most explosive moment the administration has faced this month, leaving reporters stunned, scrambling, and legal analysts across the country dissecting every word for deeper implications. The episode unfolded when a senior reporter, noted for her precise legal questioning, asked whether certain investigative documents connected to ongoing inquiries had been withheld from congressional committees. The DOJ head paused, visibly uncomfortable before an explanation that was meant to sound routine, but instead sparked immediate uproar. He stated that certain materials were temporarily limited in circulation in order to maintain institutional stability and avoid unnecessary political escalation involving the former president. The phrasing was enough to prompt a wave of follow-up questions, but it was his next sentence that set off alarms across Washington. In a moment that seemed both careless and revealing, he added that the department had decided not to elevate internal findings that could have created avoidable turmoil for the previous administration during a sensitive period. Reporters seized on the statement, asking whether this amounted to an admission that the DOJ had purposefully declined to disclose information that may have implicated Trump or members of his inner circle. The DOJ head tried to walk back the earlier comment, insisting that no formal cover-up occurred and that the decision was guided strictly by procedural caution. But the damage was done. The slip had already been recorded, broadcast live, and circulating rapidly across social networks, where segments of the press and public interpreted it as confirmation of something long suspected but never acknowledged within official channels. Within hours, lawmakers on both sides of the aisle reacted sharply. Opposition leaders condemned what they described as a blatant confession of political interference at the highest levels of the justice system. They argued that the DOJ had violated its mandate to remain independent from political influence and accused the administration of protecting Trump from accountability for actions under active scrutiny. Some representatives even hinted at launching an immediate congressional inquiry to determine whether key evidence had been suppressed. Meanwhile, members of the political party aligned with Trump mounted a defensive campaign, claiming the remarks were taken out of context and asserting that the department had acted responsibly during a moment of national tension. They framed the controversy as another attempt by opponents to weaponize procedural language to fuel a media narrative that has followed Trump for years. Legal scholars offered a wide range of interpretations. Some argued that the DOJ had merely articulated a common but rarely publicized bureaucratic practice where certain findings are delayed until they can be vetted and processed more thoroughly. Others disagreed, arguing that the admission went far beyond routine caution and directly suggested that information was deliberately withheld solely because it could have harmed the former president politically. Several former DOJ officials who have served under administrations of both parties emphasized that the department must avoid even the appearance of political favoritism and that the statement had crossed a critical line. One former official said that if the comment is taken at face value, it suggests a clear departure from established norms and an abandonment of the department's core commitment to impartial law enforcement. Behind-the-scenes insiders described a frantic atmosphere within the DOJ communications offices in the hours following the press briefing. Staffers hurried to craft clarifying statements while senior advisors debated how to contain the fallout. According to sources close to the situation, there were disagreements over whether the department should acknowledge the comment and attempt to contextualize it, or claim that the remark had been misunderstood by the press. Ultimately, the department released a short, written statement saying that the DOJ head was referring to internal review processes and not to any effort to conceal evidence or shield individuals from scrutiny. However, the statement did little to calm the storm, instead prompting more questions about what exactly had been withheld and why. Public reaction was swift and polarized. Supporters of Trump accused the media of intentionally twisting the remarks to create a scandal where none existed, arguing that the DOJ had simply attempted to prevent partisan chaos. Critics argued that the statement confirmed their long-running concerns that Trump had been receiving preferential treatment during and after his time in office. The revelation reignited national debates over institutional integrity and the extent to which political influence may have shaped federal investigations. Social media platforms became a battleground of competing interpretations, with millions of posts dissecting the wording, the timing, and the broader implications for democracy. Analysts noted that the comment comes at a particularly fragile moment for the DOJ, which has been working to restore public trust after years of political turbulence. The department has faced pressure from multiple fronts, including ongoing cases related to election interference, classified documents, and financial dealings connected to Trump and his associates. The notion that internal findings may have been consciously held back during crucial periods threatens to undermine confidence in the entire justice process. Advocacy groups called for immediate reforms to strengthen structural independence and transparency within the department, including mandatory disclosure time limits and protections for internal investigators who may face political pressure. Meanwhile, Trump himself has so far remained silent on the matter, though some of his prominent allies used media appearances to insist that the former president had nothing to do with any internal decisions at the DOJ. They portrayed the controversy as an attempt to distract from other national issues and to reignite political battles that should have been resolved long ago. Analysts, however, believe that Trump's response will become crucial depending on how the situation develops. Any acknowledgement or denial from him is likely to influence public opinion and further shape the political narrative. As the controversy continued to escalate late into the evening, congressional leaders began discussing the possibility of issuing subpoenas to obtain the documents referenced during the briefing. Some lawmakers argued that if the DOJ had truly acted to limit circulation of findings, then Congress had the right and responsibility to review those materials in full. Others cautioned against rushing into a confrontation that could create deeper institutional divides. The political implications are significant. If an inquiry uncovers that evidence was suppressed, that could lead to major repercussions not only for the DOJ leadership but also for broader public trust in the justice system. If, on the other hand, the investigation finds no wrongdoing, critics may be accused of exploiting a poorly phrased comment to manufacture scandal. Inside the DOJ, there is growing concern that morale may suffer as the department faces heightened scrutiny. Career officials who pride themselves on impartial service worry that the controversy may cast unfair suspicion on thousands of employees who had no role in the decision-making referenced in the press briefing. Some fear that public confidence, already weakened by years of politicization, may erode further. The DOJ continues to insist that it is cooperating with oversight bodies and remains committed to full transparency. Nonetheless, the fallout from the accidental admission has become one of the most defining challenges of the current era. The broader national impact is still unfolding. Commentators predict that the controversy could influence upcoming elections by reviving debate around accountability, ethics, and the role of government institutions in maintaining democratic stability. For many Americans, the situation has become symbolic of deeper tensions that have shaped the political landscape over the past decade. It raises pressing questions about whether the justice system can operate without political influence, and whether internal decisions once shielded from public view must now be thoroughly examined in an era of heightened skepticism. As the story continues to evolve, it is clear that the DOJ head's accidental admission will remain a focal point of political and legal conversation in the coming days. Whether it becomes a catalyst for meaningful reform or another flashpoint in an already polarized environment depends on how the department, Congress, and the public respond. But for now, the remark stands as a dramatic reminder of how a single sentence spoken in a brief moment can reshape national discourse, spark investigations, and intensify the debate over truth, accountability, and the future of democratic institutions.